Welcome. Today I am presenting a study on United States employment and income analysis. My name is Grant Balka. This study takes a deep dive into comparative statistics among U.S. states and regions. As a matter of introduction, let's take a look at a couple key findings discovered and key analyses performed throughout this study. First off, key findings. Various statistics range widely from state to state, so we'll take a look at the trends. We also discovered that union coverage and labor force participation rate have a large impact on the average income for individuals in each state. A couple key analyses we performed. We used our understanding of union coverage and participation rate to create a predictive model that measures disposable income. We also created a prescriptive dashboard that individuals can use to find out which states meet their employment needs best. Using the MOSAIC data analytics process found in a recent textbook by Wiley, we performed our analyses by first viewing motivation, second objective, third strategy, fourth analysis, fifth interpretation, and finally sixth communication. Motivation, objective, and strategy were created through an iterative process. Though they were created primarily at the beginning of the study, they were slightly changed throughout the study to meet the needs and the information available through the study set. Taking a look at motivation, we focused in on the key insights in how different areas of the U.S. performed relative to one another. The key insights helped differentiate among the states. We wanted to take a look at the areas of the U.S. by state as well as region to gain deeper insights and see how areas of the country were performing on both a detailed and holistic view. Specifically, we were motivated to help individuals select the states they would likely find work in that meet their specific income needs. We had several objectives for the analysis. I split these objectives up into the following four analysis categories: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. The descriptive category focuses on how income and poverty rates have performed in the past. The diagnostic category, on the other hand, focuses on why states are performing the way they are. Next, we will take a look at the final two objective categories, predictive and prescriptive objectives. Our predictive objectives focused on which states will continue to perform well and which states would be most likely to favor families in the future. Finally, our prescriptive objective was to allow the choice of which state fits an individual best based on their specific needs. So for our strategy, we wanted to pull data sets that were focused on how states and regions are comparatively performing in key areas of employment and income. Our focus was on poverty rates, after-tax income, advantages for certain demographics, and likely influencers of pay, such as unions. Now we turn to letter A of the MOSAIC process, analysis. In our research for a data set, we pulled information from the North Carolina Office of State Budget and Management. This comprehensive data set included comparative data for each of the 50 states as well as the District of Columbia. Next, we will take a look at a three-step process to prepare the data called ETL. ETL stands for Extract, Transform, Load. It focuses on the process of pulling a data source from a website, correctly cleaning the data for proper use, and uploading the data correctly into an analytics platform. The extract phase of the ETL process focused on the need to perform row count checks and control amounts for the data sets. This is important because it helps verify that the data was correctly extracted from the data source. The second step in the ETL process, transform, focuses on data relevancy, correctness, and consistency. Through this process, I found several corrections that were needed to properly clean the data. These corrections are discussed in the following few slides. In taking a look at our analysis, the field United States really seemed irrelevant to the data set and could potentially cause errors in our comparative analysis. So we took a look at that, searched, and removed each of the rows that contained United States as a field. Next, we searched and found that a portion of the data set did not have the rank field appropriately filled in. So we sorted by value and used a formula to correctly calculate the rank for each row. Next, we found a portion of the data set was corrupted with duplicate data, and so we went through that portion and removed the duplicate rows. Next, we searched through the data set for null values and did find 10 fields that contained null values. However, they were primarily irrelevant to the data set, so we corrected them appropriately. Finally, we searched through the data set and did find a couple categories that lacked 2020 data, these categories being employment of U.S. affiliates and workers' compensation. However, these did not affect our analysis, so we went ahead and removed all of the rows in the data for each of the years that contained these two categories. And lastly, we used Power Query Editor to review data for errors and anomalies. And we noticed that the data was rather consistent, and where we needed to make corrections, we did so appropriately. Next, we're going to take a look at the letter L in the ETL process, which stands for load. Upon extracting and transforming the data for use, the final step in the ETL process is to load the data. Upon loading the data, we performed row counts and control amounts to verify that the data was correctly loaded into the primary analytics platform for our study, which happens to be Tableau. We will take a look at these row counts and checks in the following two slides. Here we performed row counts, and you can notice right here on the Tableau dataset, 5,253 rows on the Excel working analysis set, 5,253, so that row count checks. Here we measured the row control amounts, and we found that both equaled 82,458,506. Here it is on Tableau as well, so those check. Another portion of the analysis process is information modeling. In this process, we focus on using the analytics platform to discover and create new relationships, as well as make fields that can perform our analysis more easily. The next two slides give a couple examples of modeling techniques I performed to enhance the data analysis. Notice here that I grouped states by region, so you could drill down using hierarchy from United States to region to the state or district. In this slide, you see that I also concatenated the state and rank fields, and I put these two together to make the analysis a little bit easier to read. Next, we're going to take a look at the next stage of analysis, and that is data exploration. The purpose of data exploration is to uncover the objectives of the analysis. This is the stage in which we finally get the answers to our questions and begin to fulfill the overall motivation of the project. Through data exploration, I uncovered various insights which are discussed in the slides that follow. In this first slide, we are taking a look at average annual pay by region. As you can see, the northeastern United States has a much higher average annual pay compared to the western, southern, and midwestern regions. In this slide, we take a look at the unemployment rates by state and region. Notice that the southern and western United States have a lot greater issues with unemployment compared to the northeastern and midwestern U.S. states. Alaska leads the way with nearly 7% unemployment. Next, we take a look at a box and whisker plot, plotting the average weekly unemployment benefits. You notice the western U.S. leads the way. Closely behind follows the northeastern U.S. and midwestern U.S., but look at the southern U.S. Those unemployment benefits, that interquartile box is much lower on the graph comparatively. And finally, we compare unemployment rates. As you can notice on the far left, the Midwestern U.S. has much lower unemployment rates year over year. An interesting phenomenon here, look at 2020. The unemployment rates jumped through the roof, very likely because of the COVID pandemic and the national response to the pandemic. So just a natural phenomenon there, pretty interesting to take a look at. But we want to focus in on the fact that the Midwestern states tend to perform a lot better with unemployment rates. Next, we are going to take a look at a Power BI visualization. This is an interactive dashboard that we can gain a little more analysis from. Using this interactive Power BI dashboard, we can analyze on a state level some statistics a little bit more easily. So we have average of annual pay, average per capita disposable personal income, and then average of participation rate in civilian labor force. So one statistic we look at here is we notice North Dakota, which has high participation rate, also has high per capita disposable income and fairly high average annual pay. Same goes for the District of Columbia, which leads the pack in each category. So what we notice, looks like a lot of these that have a large participation rate also have large per capita disposable personal income. How about these with lower per capita disposable personal income? Wow. They're towards the bottom of average annual pay, which makes sense, but also we notice that the civilian labor force participation rate seems to be lower in states that pay or that have a lower average per capita disposable personal income. So these are some very unique insights. We can also compare some of our top 10 states in these categories and check out how they interact with one another. Looks like Connecticut leads the pack in average of per capita disposable personal income in this scenario. So that's a little deeper analysis through an interactive dashboard. And finally, we come to my favorite part of the presentation, letter I of the MOSAIC process, which stands for interpretation. What conclusions do we learn from the data? We will take a look at an answer to all 4 objective questions in the following slides. First up are results from the descriptive analysis. Our first descriptive objective was to uncover which states provide the highest income for their workers. Now, taking a look at this tree map, in the top left corner you notice that the District of Columbia, on average, provides for their per capita, their disposable income by state, you're looking at $68,000 plus, whereas Mississippi is almost half that at $35,000 there in the bottom right-hand corner. As you notice, all the states in between have different varying levels between those two values, but this just helps uncover the large disparity between the states for their per capita disposable income. In our second descriptive objective, we take a look at poverty rates by region as well as by state. So as you notice, these darker states, a couple of which are Mississippi and New Mexico, if you're looking to potentially move to an area, this may be something you want to take a look at and consider beforehand. What are the reasons for this poverty level performance being so poor? In our diagnostic objectives, we give a why to the data. So in this first objective, we were tasked with understanding why certain states perform better compared to others. On the far left, we see a graph of union coverage to disposable income and see that, as the R-squared value indicates, about 23% of disposable income can be predicted by union coverage. On the right, we see an even stronger relationship with nearly 34% of disposable income being determined by participation rate. As a greater percentage of the population is involved in working, we see that the disposable income per capita increases. Our second diagnostic objective has to do with understanding the relationship between income and poverty rates. As indicated by the red line, the percentage of persons below poverty level greatly decreases as the average annual pay increases. This can be important for individuals who are looking to move to a certain state to understand this relationship and truly look for a state that offers a higher average annual pay. Next, in light of our predictive objective, we take a look at a predictive model built to predict income among the various states. Before explaining how this model works in real time, I wanted to take a moment to show you how it was developed. The model was built by using the Tableau regression equation quantile listed here in the measure values. Quantile was used to analyze the relationship of union coverage and labor force participation rate to disposable personal income. Next, we will take a look at this interactive dashboard in action. So taking a look at this predictive dashboard, we can see that we can sort by region. So Western United States, Southern United States here. On the bottom, we have our poverty rates by state, but really the predictive portion of this model is up here. So we see the states are split up by Midwestern, Northeastern, Southern, and Western US, and you can sort by states that have certain levels of worker coverage, union coverage, participation rate, etc. These blue columns are the actual income. The orange dots, rather, are the predicted income for each state. So this is a predictive model built off of that regression analysis. And finally, we take a look at a prescriptive analysis dashboard in which individuals can select a possible state or states of residence based on various factors of interest to them. This dashboard takes many factors into account, including region, income, unemployment rate, etc. Let's check it out. Next, we take a look at a prescriptive dashboard, and this is my favorite yet. Users can select states to live in based off of various factors. So let's say a user is concerned with living somewhere in the Midwestern United States. So here's our list of states here. You'll also notice that the tooltip provides various statistics on each state, including the insured unemployment rate, participation rate, average annual pay, median family income, per capita disposable personal income, and the state/district. So let's say an individual is concerned about the average median family income. Let's say that they have a family and they want to make sure that the median income in the state is around $70,000. You can actually select here and put that number in exactly. Next, let's say this person is very concerned about poverty levels. So if they were to adjust this to 10% poverty, or 10% of persons below poverty level, this narrows us down to the state of Minnesota. So this individual may say, hey, Minnesota is a great place for me. I have a family. I want a state that provides well for my family and has a low poverty level. So various factors influence users' decisions, but with this dashboard, users can view all sorts of states in the union that meet their desired needs. In conclusion, our analysis has uncovered several important results. First, we see that while income and employment statistics vary greatly among states, there are certain regions that clearly outperform others. Second, we discovered that union coverage and participation rate strongly affect average disposable income across the states. Building on this fact, we thirdly found that these two values could be used to build a predictive model to predict income level per capita. Fourth, we created a prescriptive dashboard that allows individuals to narrow down options of states to work in based off various income and employment factors of interest to them. Thank you for taking time today to learn a little more about the wide range of employment and income statistics among various states and regions of the United States. I hope this analysis proves helpful when analyzing your own next employment step in life. Knowing the facts when it comes to your job and place of residence can be key in your next career step. Once again, my name is Grant Balka, and this has been a study in United States employment and income analysis.